Being in a thinner body is like being handed a passport to so many spaces and places and experiences and relationships that when you're in a large body, you are denied access to. We don't have that same passport.
Hello YouTube, and welcome to the Body Honesty Project. My name is Lydia, and today we are continuing on our discussion about how fat acceptance and the BoPo are setting you up for failure. Now, our first discussion was about why people desire thinness, and it wasn't about the health benefits. So if you didn't see part 1 of this discussion, pause this and go back and watch that video first. Today, we will be picking up where we left off and getting into the conversation of what does it mean to have a thin passport. So, on with the chat.
Being in a thinner body is like being handed a passport to so many spaces and places and experiences and relationships that when you're in a large body, you are denied access to. We don't have that same passport.
Hey, Katie. What passport is she talking about?
You know, I'm still waiting on mine, I guess. I never got that one. I didn't get a thin privilege card either. So unless I slept through it, yeah, I'm still waiting on those because I never got them. I felt like I guess I needed permission to go and experience things and just live my life.
I kind of wonder, and I think I mentioned this either on Lola's channel or on my video with Lola, or I've said it a number of times, but I wonder if she's getting her past and present mixed up. Because, I mean, society is pretty obese, right? Like, where do you not feel welcome? What places are you going to where you feel excluded? Because I had to do a couple mental checks myself because of the racism that I experienced, which was very, very real. It happened, but it's not still happening. So I had to kind of like every 10 years, I'd have to kind of go, you know, it's not as bad. It's still happening, but it's not as bad. And every 10 years it's kind of better. And I'm like, yeah, now I still happens. I'm not going to say I don't get the slurs or lokes from time to time, but it's like, I used to live it like every time I stepped out of the house. Now It's few and far between. So sometimes I wonder if some of these fat activists have latched onto their traumas and assume that everyone is still looking at them and not welcoming them, when that might have been true in the past, but no one's noticing them now.
You know, I definitely kind of feel that way as well. And when you feel like you've already been hurt in that way, it's easy to then look for it in other situations, is what I've kind of at least experienced in my life, whether it's, you know, just that or anything else. It just is easier to see more of it once you've already experienced it, I feel like. But that doesn't mean that that's what is currently what's going on. And I know when I was in high school in late 90s, early 2000s versus what I see now, it's tremendously different. The world that we live in, the society that we've created. And you know, I don't always know exactly where they're coming up with this. I mean, I'm not going to just say that they don't have these experiences. By all means, I'm sure plenty of people have their own personal experiences. But just as an overall trend, I see us having a lot more plus size clothing options. I see them making a lot more exceptions and like different accommodations for airlines and all sorts of other places that just didn't exist in years prior.
So from your own personal experience, did you feel that you were not welcome in places, spaces, experiences?
No, not really. I always felt welcomed. I mean, at my heaviest, realistically, I was going out probably 4 or 5, maybe more nights a week. I was playing poker all the time, going to different bars, different restaurants. And if I wasn't playing poker, I was probably going to a local concert and making friends there. And realistically, everywhere I went, I mean, I got in, I made friends, I had wonderful times, have lovely memories from those days, and I never felt excluded. If anything, it was never my weight that excluded me. More than anything, the barrier of entry that has excluded me from things in life has been money, not my weight. If I can't afford to do something, that's going to stop me dead in my tracks. So that has definitely been a much larger barrier to entry to a lot of spaces and experiences in my life, far more than my size ever has been. I've never been on a plane, so when people complain about being on an airplane, I'm just like, wow, you guys go on vacation? That's amazing. I'd love one of those. Wow. And I just don't necessarily understand some of the things that they're talking about because I have not always had a lot of money to even attempt to do these experiences. That was a far bigger barrier for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we talk about relationships, like I said, I made friends everywhere I went. I still do. It's not really ever been a problem for me. And as I mentioned previously, I met my husband when it was at my heaviest, and we started dating about a year after that. And I was still about 300, 290 pounds, somewhere around in there. So far cry from where I am now. And that certainly didn't stop him. So
Right.
definitely was not my experience.
And so when you go on that weight loss journey or that healthy lifestyle program or make healthy choices and you reduce the size of your body, you have that passport. And it feels amazing to have that passport. You're seen as a good person. We assign morality to thinness. And so you get the effects of that halo phenomenon where we assign morality and goodness to people who we consider attractive. Doctors listen to you. You can go to any clothing store and there's so many cool options for you. Your partner is attracted to you. Your mom isn't making comments about your weight.
Okay, so that was a laundry list of great things that can happen if you have that passport. Do you agree?
Well, okay, so my experience, the reward, my passport is my good health. That is my reward, is my health. I didn't get a parade, I didn't get tiaras, nobody came along and threw me a big old party. That did not happen. The reward has always just been realistically my health. As far as some of the other things, let's see. People will no longer talk about your weight. That's not true. That's not true at all, especially for me as I began to lose a lot more weight and got closer to where I am now. Then the questions started becoming, oh, are you getting too skinny? How much weight do you plan on losing? Isn't this enough? And it just kind of became very apparent to me that the type of people that are going to make a comment about my weight, probably always going to make a comment about my weight. That's just what they're going to do. It doesn't matter if I'm overweight, healthy weight, underweight, they're going to probably find something to comment about. And I realize that's not a me problem. That's something they've got to deal with. And then let's talk about doctors. Oh boy, doctors will listen to you now. Whoo! Oh man, when does that start? When does that start again? Oh wow. So I'm in the US and I will just straight out say our US healthcare system is awful, absolutely awful. Again, if you want anyone to listen to you, you need money, you need insurance, and you're probably going to have to go through the ringer and go find a bunch of different doctors and keep searching. For my ankle, when I had my ankle surgery, I was literally on my fifth orthopedist. I fired 4 in 8 years because they wouldn't do anything other than give me an x-ray and send me to physical therapy. Nobody would even do an MRI to determine that I tore pretty much everything in my ankle and they didn't even understand how I was walking. So it took 10 years to even get answers for that. Then in my mid 30s, I started getting a lot of chronic illnesses that started flaring up. I had to go through, gosh, almost 3 years of different diagnostics and testings and surgeries and so many things. I went through the ringer in this healthcare system here. And that was when I was at my lowest weight. I was at 145 pounds at that point, and no doctor was dismissing me because of my weight. That's just how a lot of doctors seem to operate.
They were just
And
dismissing you because.
just because they would tell me it was all in my head, that I was crazy, that they had never heard of the conditions that I've ended up being diagnosed with. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, EDS, and I can't tell you how many doctors will literally pull out their phone and Google my disease right in front of me and then give me advice on how to treat it. Um,
Wow.
so it's kind of a big problem that is a much bigger picture. It doesn't have anything to do with weight at this point. A doctor telling you to lose weight is not inherently necessarily a bad thing. There are a lot of conditions we know that can be improved by that. And I sit here and think that I know what I'm up against now with some of my chronic conditions and the issues I'm going to potentially face the rest of my life with them. And I am so thankful that I took the time that I did and lost the weight when I did, because even though I will always have these chronic conditions that I have to manage, it will be a lot easier to manage them now at this point.
Your own internalized fat phobia is quieted. And that is probably the biggest piece, is no longer having your own self-judgment and shame and blame patterns going on inside of your head, which frees you up to do so many other cool things when that internal dialogue isn't taking up all of your space and all of your energy.
Hey, so the inner dialogue is taking up too much space and energy, so we need to free ourselves from it. What do you think, Katie?
I mean, I guess in theory that sounds lovely, right? But there's also this notion that she's not fully saying, and that's the idea that these all go away when you lose weight. But body image issues exist at every size. And especially like if you've lost as much weight as I have, I don't know anyone that doesn't have loose skin everywhere. And that, brings a whole host of different body image issues realistically. So this idea that solving or losing weight will solve all my problems when it comes to how I view myself, that's just really not reality, at least from anyone I've ever talked to that's lost any significant amount of weight.
Mm-hmm. I have issue with this whole notion that you can free your brain up by releasing all things diet culture and you'll have more energy to focus on important things. But I don't for a second believe that these fat activists don't spend most of their time worried and lamenting their bodies. Like, they say that they are free of diet culture and they can just live. But if all their content is about their bodies and their size and fat phobia and all of this, are they really spending more energy on important things? Have they really freed up brain space? Or are they just making it worse and now they're entrenched and wallowing in it?
Yeah, it almost seems like it's a race to be the biggest victim sometimes with this. And again, I don't ever want to discount people's personal experiences, because I know some of the ones that I've gone through, like getting kicked off of a roller coaster, that sucked. And it, in the moment, it did. But then I understood what I had to do with that and how to move forward with that. And the more time that I spent about thinking about what other people thought of me, or how I needed to break free from diet culture, or whatever the case may be, that was taking away from any effort I could actually put into myself, and actually things that I knew I could do if I just focused on it.
I'd like to thank Katie once again for coming on the channel. And if you enjoyed this discussion, you're not going to want to miss the next one, where we get into how the BoPo would like us to think about fat bodies. So until next time, stay body positive, but also body honest.